This is Steve Hamilton, who was member of the City Council of Tega Cay from 1990 to 1994, and he was mayor of Tega Cay from 1994 up to the present time. Steve is going to tell us about what transpired principally during his period as mayor from 1994 and on. Steve, would you tell me something about the developers who were in Tega Cay and what was your interface with them?
Sure. When I came on council in 1990, the developers at the time were Dr. Levitsky and Ed Opel, and they were working with Mayor Ed Weaver at the time, and one of the issues then was the sale of the water system to Carolina Water. At that time, we were also dealing with the aftermath of Hugo and how to pay and finance the damage that was done by the hurricane.
What happened with regard to the water system? You say that Dr. Levitsky, who owned the water system,
Right.
He was going to sell it to another company.
He sold it to Carolina Water Utilities Inc. without giving the opportunity for the city to purchase the system. This was upsetting to myself and another council member, Steve Forrest, at the time, when we tried to stop the sale, but we were unsuccessful in doing that.
So the sale was finally consummated, and the water got out of the hands of the developer into a private contractor.
Correct. That's right.
Okay. Now, you went on and became mayor. What were your aspirations when you became mayor? I mean, what were the things that were foremost in your mind?
Right. Well, throughout my term on council, I've been very interested in the recreational needs of the city. And two of the main projects that we were always interested in was developing another ball field on Water Trace and a pedestrian pathway. At the time, Ed Opel, excuse me, at the time Steve Mudge was the new developer who came in after Opel and Levitsky.
Okay, so the series of developers early on, Dr. Levitsky and Ed Opel were the developers, and then Steve Mudge took over about 94 to 96, was it?
That's correct.
And then about 96, Newland, Carolina moved into the picture and somehow acquired the assets.
That's correct. So we had tried to get Steve Mudge's group to donate those two pieces of property to the city. They were willing to do it, but with strings attached and that sort of thing, so negotiations did not go well with that. At the time, Steve Mudge left the city in the end of '96, and Newland, Carolina came in as the new developer in 1997. The head of that organization was Steve Corboy, who was president of Newland, Carolina. I went with him with the same proposal that we acquire the Water Trace ball field and the pedestrian pathway along Tega Cay Drive. He was very amenable to that idea, and within 6 to 8 months after that initial proposal, the city was the owner of both those properties.
Well, then really the hang-up on both projects was the ownership of the property underneath it, and I understand the city had a lot of money, a certain amount of money dedicated to both of those, to at least the ball field.
That's correct. We had been squirreling away approximately $25,000 a year, so we had accumulated a number of funds that we could immediately put into the ball field once we acquired the lands. After we acquired the 11 acres which makes up Water Trace ball field, about 6.5 of it is actually usable. The rest of it is a steep terrain that drops off the back. We've begun grading, and throughout the past 2 years adding additional dirts and building it up and trying to make it as much usable land that we can get out of that area.
Now, on the pedestrian pathway, there's a slightly different story, isn't there? Could you tell me something about that acquisition?
The pedestrian pathway is about 1.5 miles long strip of land that runs on the south side of Tega Cay Drive. And it was within the 50-foot right-of-way where no developer can come up and build.
Mm-hmm.
And we built it's about an 8-foot wide pathway along the entire length of the south side of Tega Cay Drive, from the clubhouse all the way up to the entrance of the city.
Yeah, would you tell me something about the acquisition of funds to do that? It must have cost quite a bit of money.
It was an expensive project. I think the total bill on that was somewhere around $230,000. Most of that money came from RFATS, which is the Rock Hill Fort Mill Area Transportation Study, which is a spending arm of the federal government. We actually received the funds from the federal government to the state government, who then doles out that money to area study groups, and RFATS being one of them. And as mayor, I'm a voting member of RFATS. We were able to lobby successfully to get those funds to build to get the funds so we were able to build the pedestrian pathway.
What is unusual about the name of the pedestrian pathway?
Well, to get those funds, the federal government really didn't want motor scooters or bikes and rollerblades and that sort of thing associated with the pathway. So from the very beginning, I started calling it the pedestrian pathway, so that we would, as we tried to sell the idea, we were always promoting that we were going to be moving people via walking, and that was a successful way to go about obtaining the funds for that.
Another one of the things that happened while you were a mayor was with the water trace, not the water trace, the Windjammer project. Would you tell me something about that project?
Yes, Windjammer Park has always been a real asset to the city, but one of the problems with it at the upper end of the park was a steep sheer cliff, a drop-off of probably 35 feet. Rather dangerous, and really the whole end of that park was unusable land. And throughout the years there had always been a bad erosion problem with trees falling and dropping off, and we felt that we were really going to lose a lot of the land that we had out there if nothing was done. So together with the city engineers and beautification committee, we got together and developed a plan whereby we graded down the entire end of the park. Of approximately the 150 trees on Windjammer Park, we removed about 25 trees to be able to terrace down to the water level. So essentially what we ended up with was a green terraced area that we centered on a focal point, and we built a small platform or a stage area and built an amphitheater effect, so that now we have a beautiful. We probably recovered about a half an acre of additional land to that park and incorporating an amphitheater into it, along with the benefits of the erosion control.
Yeah, and with practically no loss, you gained a tremendous amount by its usability and really its beauty.
Yes, and in fact, the dirt that we hauled out from the Windjammer Park from the erosion control project, we moved all that dirt up to Water Trace Ball Field, so that we saved about $13,000 in additional dirt that we would have had to haul in for that ball field.
Yeah, that's right. The ball field had to be leveled because the terrain, as I recall, was not very good, and you had to haul a tremendous amount. I guess this wasn't enough, but it was a start.
It was a start, exactly.
Yeah. Now, also, while you were the mayor, there was a need for roads and paving and things like that. Would you tell me something about that?
Actually, starting with back in Ed Weaver's administration, we put a real strong emphasis on repaving the streets in Tega Cay. During my administration, we were able to repave about 19 streets within the city, and the total bill on that was about $1 million, which we took out in bond money and we're paying back presently. We did something a little different this time around with the streets. The councils felt that it was very important that curb and guttering be put on every new mile of street that is paved within the city. It does a couple of things. It adds a better look for the streetscape of the city. It adds continuity as you drive through the city, that you're not going from areas of streets without curb and guttering to streets with curb and guttering. So what we've done is require that every street that is paved within the city has to be built with curb and guttering.
Yeah, that had there was some drainage aspects to this paving project, weren't there?
Right. One of the other benefits is that we're able to control the water runoff, rain, which is a real problem. The drainage problems that occur within the city are a problem. Will always have to be addressed. So by adding the curb and guttering, we're able to funnel the waters to where it needs to go to the drainage areas.
Mm-hmm. So you killed two birds with one stone doing that. Now, along about the time, the middle of your term, Newland, Carolinas, as you say, came in, and there had to be some sort of an agreement with Newland, Carolinas in there. Would you tell me the story about that agreement?
With the new developer, we wanted to make sure that the promises that were being made were going to be kept within that. Were going to be kept. So we put together a development agreement, which in essence lays out what the developer is going to do and what the city is going to do, so that there are no questions or problems that can't be addressed within the development agreement. The developer plans on developing the 550 acres on the south side of Tega Cay Drive, and that will be done in 4 phases over the next 10 years. Part of the project includes a new additional 9 holes to the golf course. A number of the holes are going to be signature holes with lakes and fantastic layouts with the sand traps and the bunkers and all of that. Also a pool cabana beach complex is going to be built around the second marina that's within the city. And in addition, the plan calls for a tie-in with the pedestrian pathway, which will include miles of new trails and trailheads that will tie the entire city together with pathways and parks.
During your term as mayor, there was a move by the city as far as the acquisition of water system was concerned, concern about the prices in the past. Would you tell me something about that problem?
Okay. Basically, the city buys its water from York County, who buys it from Fort Mill, who buys it from Rock Hill. Everybody tacking on their little bit of profit. So the end result, the residents of the city pay an exorbitant amount for the water, and associated with that, of course, is the sewer. To get a better handle on that price, because it's subject to the demands of Carolina Water, what they want to charge the city for the water. Mm-hmm. We felt that it was in the best interest of the city that we own the water and sewer system. Mm-hmm. Towards that end, we held a referendum, I believe that was held in 1997, where we asked the question, should the city get into the water and sewer business? It was overwhelmingly about an 8-to-1 success, saying yes, get into the water and sewer business. Towards that end, we've been negotiating with Carolina Water and York County, and working towards that end where the city will become the owner of the utility system.
So we're right at this time, and this is May of 1999, we're right in the middle of that process.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, there are several other projects that took place while you were mayor. One was the renovation of the tennis courts. Would you tell me a little bit about that?
That's right. The lower courts, which are the city-owned tennis courts, hadn't been resurfaced in 20 years, and we felt it was time to get those resurfaced. So we spent about $60,000 and completely tore out and rebuilt the entire tennis four courts that are down there. And then in recognition of a great Tega Cay resident, we named and a big tennis fan, we named it after John Wortley and called it the John Wortley Tennis Complex.
Yeah, he was a great man. He died several years ago, I remember. And there is a tennis tournament that's held every year, sponsored by Tega Cay, in order to build a a scholarship fund for tennis players.
That's correct. That scholarship fund is named after John Woodley as well.
Now, there were a number of things that you did during your term with regard to administration of the city. Would you tell me something about, I know the solicitor's office was established, and there were several others that occurred.
Right. One of the things that we had, when I came in, we had a real problem with was within our court system. Of course, we have a municipal judge, Grady McMahon, and the way our system works is that the police officers, the arresting police officers, come in and actually present the case to the judge. From time to time, we would have problems with the prosecutions. Of course, police officers are police officers; they're not attorneys, so that a lot of times people were getting away with technicalities and being able to leave with little or no fines for a variety of crimes. We added Brian Wilson, a local attorney, as our new solicitor. He attends every court session and works with the police officers, and it's just smoothed out the operation tremendously, and it's moved the municipal court system along very well.
Now, with the new developer, and when he went to work, we realized there was a lot of approval of erosion problems, taking trees down, and I think you added a new officer to Tega Cay.
That's right. We also added the position of code enforcement officer. Now we've had those in the past within the city, but we had gotten away from that, and with the new push in development within the city, we felt it was necessary to reinstitute that position, and we've got an excellent code enforcement officer with John Gervais.
Of course, with the mammoth amount of development that's going on now, he's even more important than he was when he first became the code enforcement officer. I guess his hands are full, aren't they?
Absolutely. In fact, we've even hired him some additional help with Chris Larson, who is a area local builder familiar with the building codes, and he's now assisting John in that as well.
Will you tell me, Newland, Carolina has started its project. Will you tell me some of the minor problems that occurred with regard to his starting his building?
Well, he began the building, formal building, back in October, and the way builders work nowadays is they do a lot more grading than Tega Cay is used to, for sure. With all the grading and debris material, fires were built to burn the debris. This caused a lot of problems with smoke and ash in the air. DHEC did fine Blythe Industries, sent them a notice of violation for their burning, and since that time we've corrected it with some additional stiffer requirements that for burning that would take place within the city from this point.
So this is a sort of an ongoing thing, and trying to handle it on a case-by-case basis. He was allowed to mass grade by the development agreement that was understood.
That was understood, yes.
And so it's a matter of following them very closely in order to make sure that the end product is what you want. And you know, I look at my own house and I see I was clear cut when I came there, planted 8 trees in the front yard, and they're mammoth trees now. This is 8-9 years later. So trees can grow. And I think that to that end, there's part of the agreement that has to do with trees.
Well, there's a major portion of the development agreement has to do with tree replacements, and we have in the plan $1.5 million of trees that will be required as far as the treescape areas and the entrance areas and that sort of thing. But in addition to that, within the development agreement is a tree replacement program that every yard, every lot that is built has to have a certain number of trees replaced back to them. Depending on the size of the lot, anywhere from 6 to 13 trees have to be replaced back to the lots. One of the things that if you drive around the historic sections of Tega Cay, and we talked about it earlier, were the drainage problems and how water runs throughout the city. When you are able to reconstruct and design and do a better job from the very beginning, these types of problems that the historic sections of Tega Cay experience, we shouldn't have that problem in the new areas.
So there'll be a step forward. Now, skipping away from the development, there's another project that went on because the city of Tega Cay is growing, and that is, it looked like the fire station facilities were not going to be adequate. And could you tell me a little bit about what's been done to take care of that problem?
That's correct. The fire department for the past 5 or 6 years has constantly come before council and complained that their facilities are too small, the training facilities are too small. There's just not enough space for 30 to 40 members to be trained in. And also an additional bay is required and needed within the city for more equipment. We were able to pay off the last payment of one of the larger trucks this past year to the tune of about $35,000 a year we had been paying on this truck. So rather than just stop paying the fire department that $35,000, they put together a plan that would use that money and apply it for a new facade, a new renovation, and a new addition to the fire department. It's going to be a beautiful facility and a real asset to the city.
Yeah, and as a city grows, it's needed more and more. We didn't mention, of course, that the fire department is volunteer, and we're very fortunate to have that.
Absolutely.
I certainly appreciate you giving me your time to describe what's going on. I know there's a lot that's going on ahead that's going to keep you busy in the years to come, and I appreciate taking time out to give me this discussion. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
This is David Wright, who late in April of 1999 started overseeing the day-to-day operation of Lakeshore Tega Cay for Newland, Carolina. David, will you describe what the Newland, Carolina plan of development was when it started to develop Tega Cay?
Sure. Phil, when Newland came here in 1997, Steve Corboy was heading up the operation and was appointed by Newland, Carolina to basically discover the facts. The ownership of the balance of Tega Cay, the balance of the undeveloped land, and many of the assets such as the golf club, etc., was owned and still is by the Arizona Baptist Foundation. Evergreen had, as you know, made an attempt to develop for I think the 2 years prior, and things had not gone as expected, and as a result, the Arizona Baptist Foundation had invited Newland, Carolina into Tega Cay to help them assess the situation. And that was what I think was done in '97 and early portion of 1998. At that time, they were basically taking a look at what assets were here, what condition they were in, what the viability of the current assets were, and what could be done to re-energize the potential build-out of Tega Cay. So that was done. Financial models were constructed, and builders were talked to, and I think in 1998, perhaps middle of the year, I may be off on my dates a little bit, the Arizona Baptist Foundation and Newland joined to actually move ahead and take the development forward based upon the scenarios that had been constructed and assessed by Newland and the foundation. At that time, basically it was determined that we were going to look into a number of things on the golf side, but at that point they were expecting to take the clubhouse, the existing clubhouse, and try and remodel it. And it was not until actually this year, in '99, that the numbers were in from bidding on doing that, and it turned out that it was going to be actually, unfortunately, too expensive to remodel the club. I believe I've heard that there was an estimate of close to $3 million, then that wouldn't have changed the exterior of the club or updated it. So now, for example, we're looking at actually building a new clubhouse with a big grand outdoor pavilion and expanding putting greens. On the golf course side, our plans have sort of evolved, but we're now building and currently building a new 9 holes that will open, we hope, late this fall. And then the plans call for taking the old 9 and each spring closing one of the 9 down, so we always have 18 holes open, and refurbishing those so that when all is said and done in a couple of years, we will have a new 27-hole golf course that's going to look and feel and play a lot better and be updated for current trends in public golf. So that's our plans on the golf side. Plans on the development side have become again something of an evolutionary process, and if you'd like to, I'll just show you on the map what we're going to do there. Okay, this is the 550 acres that had been undeveloped and was part of the package that we took a look at in terms of development, that the Baptist Foundation has been very interested in seeing developed. This is the same area that Evergreen and I believe the people prior to Evergreen had also worked on. And the reason I bring that up is because it is a pretty challenging area topographically. Just to set the lay of the land for you here, this area is the area in which apparently the Irvin Company years ago had built an 18-hole golf course and operated it briefly, and also had carved in a number of lots. So it had already been planned on a number of occasions and even started construction at one point. What we've done is to come back in this situation and to try and decrease the density. The density that was allowed under the prior operator, Evergreen, was a fairly significant density that we've cut, I think, by 1/3 in our plan. This allows for 3 different housing types, actually 4 different housing types, some very small lots in a number of locations which are 55-foot wide. We have a number of other lots that go 75-foot wide and some that are 85. And then later we have a number of opportunities over here that are actually on the lake. We don't have a lot of lake frontage, but these lake lots would be in the 100 to 115-foot wide range. As you look through this whole area is united by this proposed collector road. And this collector road would take us through the entire development and provide a point of entry and exit right at the current entrance of Tega Cay. And that's important to take some of the potential traffic load off of Tega Cay Drive. The city has asked us to pay attention to that, and that's what we've done. We also have planned, and this plan has not been updated to show what is going on here, but there is a proposal to put this road through right here. And this road would be an extension of the collector road that would join up with another piece of property off-site which does not belong to Newland or Tega Cay, but the owner is hopefully going to cooperate and would provide actually a second entrance and exit out onto Highway 160. And this is something that I understand that the city has looked for some time, and it provides a future point of access that would relieve some of the future congestion on Tega Cay Drive, despite the fact that this road, the Gold Hill Road, is in this next year to be widened to 4 lanes. As we look at it, we can see that what we've done is proposed, we've actually started building on this new 9 holes that will wend its way through here. And one of the things that we've had to deal with, and I think is probably significant, has certainly caused some of the early controversy about our development, has been the issue related to clearing of the land and the mass grading that has occurred. One of the things that some have noticed is that if you've been out on the site, is it's a very hilly piece of land. And regrettably, that topography is not suited to bringing in national regional builders, which is our game plan. Our game plan is to bring in builders who can sell a significant number of lots, we hope over 200 a year, because what that will do is to help us retire the debt that has been incurred on the land fast enough to outrun the current interest on the land. And that's an important point because some have asked us why we would not put these in larger lots and just sell at a slower pace. And the reason is that unfortunately it doesn't offset our debt fast enough. So this is an important component of the plan. What we are hopeful that people will be patient with us to see is once we actually create these lots, we will be planting trees, creating landscapes, creating parks and other amenities which will begin to make this look more like the community that is Tega Cay today.
You have millions of dollars thrown into those trees, haven't you?
We do. We have made a very serious commitment to make these trees come back. I will be the first to say this is not going to look like it looked before we got in here right away. Tega Cay did not after it was first developed originally, but we will be working very hard and harder than any other development around here probably to make this look as an acceptable piece of the community early in its life rather than later in its life cycle.
And of course the trees can be put where you want to put them so they're suitable for the location of the house, so there is an advantage to that.
That's true. One of the things that has been, I think, found out in a lot of places like Charlotte, there was an article recently in the paper that talked about this, is that when you clear lots for houses, that frequently what happens, you end up clearing about 60% of the lot for the house. You save about 40% of the trees. But the problem is that there's so much damage done to the roots of some of those trees during the construction process that over the next 7 to 10 years, an awful lot of those trees do die. It's not to say that it's not a good idea to save trees where you can. We've tried to do that. But in that ratio of 60-40 of building pad plus tree saves around it, what we've done is basically created 40% of the trees in significant places to save trees, where they're along streams, along wetlands, in valleys that are inappropriate for development along these ridge lines, and we're hopeful that those are more meaningful as habitat and something to look at. Regrettably, the development process is always an ugly thing to look at early in the process, and we're hopeful that we can get the houses out and get these things developed quickly.
David, now in addition to the development that you described that's going on, what are some of the things that Newland, Carolina has done to improve Tega Cay as a whole? I mean, recreational things and things of that nature.
Sure. There are a number of things that we have done so far, but there's probably better to talk about the things that are going to happen as we move along. There's certain things that we've done now that involve deeding about 10.5 acres for a new ball field over in one of our developments. That was a piece of land that we thought was the city had looked at for a potential ball field, and we thought that was appropriate. We gave that city to that land to the city. We've also given land for the walking trail, which runs along Tega Cay Drive, and promised to create a 50-foot buffer on one side and a 60-foot buffer on the other side, so that there is a treescape along the drive, and it's not, we won't have development right up to the edge. There are a number of other things that we have done, but one of the things that I think are important to people, what we're going to do, and as part of our first phase, we have plans to build a beach club that will be open to all residents of Tega Cay, not just the residents of Lakeshore at Tega Cay. And this beach club is proposed down in the old marina area. And what we'll do there is to build a new clubhouse. It'll have probably an exercise room and some meeting space. Be surrounded by a large junior Olympic swimming pool and an adult lap pool, both proposed for that area, plus a beach renovation. There's an old beach and sand volleyball pit that's down there that we'd like to renovate. All of that's going to be contingent upon Duke Power's approval, but we are hopeful that that's going to work. We also will be renovating the marina down there and creating a new opportunities for boat slips and what have you for the residents of Tega Cay. These areas will be connected throughout Lakeshore to the existing Tega Cay through a series of hiking and biking trails, miles of hiking and biking trails, and that's one of the things that Newland's known for. Is doing amenity-rich communities, and this is something it's important to us from a marketing standpoint, but it benefits the community, and so it's a win-win situation. We will also be, and I think this is an important point, for the future of Tega Cay, is that we'll be creating somewhere between $230 and $250 million worth of taxable real estate in homes in the new development. It's always important for cities, particularly small cities that are landlocked, as Tega Cay is, to create new sources of tax revenue. As time goes on, the cost of being a city and running a city go up. And if you are, a lot of cities get pinched if they're landlocked and cannot annex land. It creates problems. So what we're doing is finishing out those 550 acres that we're not creating, we're not generating tax revenues, and assuming that our homes will probably be on average in today's dollars worth 180,000, it adds up to a potential stream of important revenue for the city in the future.
Yeah, you've done a lot of things already. You talked about the walking trail and so forth, and the plans for the future sound great. You've been very good about keeping the citizens informed about what your plans are, and we appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's such things as hopefully there'll be an entrance to the municipal tennis courts coming off of around the vicinity of the clubhouse. And are there any plans for that?
Well, actually, I don't know what has been planned with that. As you know, since assuming the rains here a month and a half ago, I've been here since December working on various things, but I've been dealing with a lot of other issues that have come up in that period of time. So I don't fully know what that's all about, but I'm sure if we've talked about that, that's on the list to do, and I'll consult with Steve about that. We do have other plans for things such as we've had discussions with the city regarding a possible new chamber building. There has been some talk about needing to expand, and we're looking at working with the city to give them some land and some help in creating a new area for that to occur up towards the front of Tega Cay. Yeah. We have looked at a number of other things that have been requested of us, and as things go along here, we undoubtedly will be involved in those things as well, as to where the police station may relocate to and things such as that.
Yeah, fine. Now, getting on to the future. What are your plans for the future, as far as you've given us the description of what the plans are for the current part of the development? Now, what are your plans for the future?
Well, plans for the future now are to go ahead and begin developing. As you know, at this particular moment, we are hard at work on putting the lots on the ground. We will expect to have the builders begin working on those lots possibly within 45 days, more likely within 60 days. Our marketing efforts in Tega Cay will begin at that time, and we'll begin, you'll start hearing a lot more about Tega Cay on the radio and other advertising mediums as we begin to sell the lots. And what we're doing here, unlike some people, is we're just selling lots. We're selling lots to builders, and we're creating and selling a lifestyle. Tega Cay is a wonderful community where you have water, you have golf, you have a lifestyle, and you have an established community, established recreational opportunities. And so what we intend to do is to enhance that, and then to convince people in our marketing campaign that this is a good place to live. In the long run, we think that will benefit the Tega Cay overall. It isn't without disruption that comes from anything new and from development. But I think that people, when they get to see what Newland does, and as we have a chance to prove ourselves once we've gotten the development on the ground, finished out the amenity packages, begin to plant the trees that we will be planting all along our streetscapes and in our yards and whatever, things will start to look and feel more like a neighborhood.
Yeah. When do you start your next phase?
We don't know yet, because that's driven by the market, and it really depends on how fast the first phase is marketed. But typically, it would be about a year and a half after we would be selling a year and a half after we started the first phase. That would be our expected sales pace. But the actual starting of construction will be much earlier than that, simply because you have to get ahead of it and have the lots ready when people need them.
Well, I certainly do thank you, David, for giving me your insight from Newland, Carolina's point of view. It's going to help our history of Tega Cay, and thank you very much for your time.
Glad to do it, Phil. Thank you.
This is Barbara Oswald, whose ex-husband was Jerry Harris, the president of Irvin Company. she was involved in the formation of the rescue squad in the year 1976. And Barbara, would you tell me some of the details about what event precipitated the formation of the rescue squad?
Well, actually, it was a very sad event which precipitated. We had some lawn service in the yard, and two 15-year-old boys with the supervision of an older man cutting grass in the yard decided when they got done with the yard they wanted to swim in the cove and cool off. And
that is, the boys did.
The boys did. The older gentleman cautioned them and so told them no, not to do it. Not a good idea, but they went ahead anyhow and did it. The boys swimming across the cove.
And this cove is up in the vicinity of Windjammer, the cove next to Windjammer.
Right before you get to the end at Windjammer Beach.
Right.
And they went in the water and got across the cove fine, but on their way back, one of them could not make it, and the other one who did make it back was so exhausted he had a hard time even calling for help immediately when he got back. But when he did tell us that he was struggling to get his friend back, the call went out with the construction workers over a PA system that we had at the time, and construction workers just ran into the water, just trying everything they could to find him and to get him out. But unfortunately it was too late, and he did not make it out of the lake. He did drown. In the process of that, the older gentleman who was the supervisor of these young boys was so overcome with grief and distraught so that he suffered a heart attack, and we had to call the rescue squad, of course, from Fort Mill to come and take care of him. Fortunately, he survived after the heart attack, but the other was just a terrible tragedy.
I guess it took a while for the Fort Mill Rescue Squad to get here.
Quite a while,
Yeah.
And even though they were very prompt when they got the call, it just does take a while for them to get here. It was tragic.
So what resulted from this? Did you, I understand that you took steps to form a
Yes.
rescue squad, was it?
Yes, several of us got together because there was a big crowd, of course, in the area at that time who had come to try to help, and we realized that we had to do something to make sure this never happened again if we could possibly help it. So the very next morning, 4 or 5 of the community residents met, and we did immediately learn CPR and first aid and organized what was at the time a quick put together rescue squad so that we could at least be on call for these people if they needed us.
You couldn't prevent accidents from happening. You can try to prevent them, but accidents will happen. And what you were doing was to have a backup so that prompt action could be taken to get the injured person to facilities where he really could be taken care of.
Exactly.
And so that was the start of the rescue squad, and this was 1976.
Yes, it was, and it grew, fortunately.
It grew after that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Barbara.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Phil.
you telling me this, and we'll include it somewhere in the
Thank you.
history of Tega Cay.
Thank you.
This is Jeannie Weaver
Hi.
and Rich Barretto. Jeannie was is a past president of the rescue squad in the 80s, and Rich is the current president of the rescue squad. Now, what I would like to do is get a little bit of the history of the rescue squad. And Jeannie, can you tell me your experiences in the early 1980s about your joining the rescue squad?
I was visited by George Wegman after we had moved to Tega Cay for about a week, and told him I was a first aid and CPR instructor, and he kind of indicated there was a place for me.
Yes.
I had no idea what a rescue squad was or did. About 2 days later, I was visited by Charlie Weber, who was an EMT on the squad then, who quote unquote recruited me to come and join the rescue squad. At the same time, Ruth Ross joined, and we found out that the ambulance cannot roll without an EMT, and there were no daytime EMTs. So these two older ladies decided to go back to school, and we went back and took our EMT training at York Tech and became very involved.
So when you went back to school, you came out as an EMT?
Yes, by the grace of God.
But,
we studied.
But I understand you also had to take a test to verify that you
Yes, we studied and went to school for 6 months, twice a week, and then we went to Columbia for a day and took, you know, a god-awful test it seemed at that point, but we managed to pass and we became the daytime EMTs.
Yeah. I gather there weren't too many EMTs available for the rescue squad at that time.
Not too many, but we provided nighttime coverage. We were in pretty good shape,
Yeah.
but we just had no daytime people available.
You were on a watch list, weren't you, of some type? I mean,
We were on call from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. You went to the police station and picked up a beeper, and you went to bed at night and prayed the beeper would not go off, and returned it in the next morning, and we took care of the city that way.
yeah. Was it an active period?
Pretty active, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm going to turn to Rich Barretto now, and can you came along about 1986.
In the summer of 1986.
Summer of 1986, and you joined the rescue squad at that time?
Yeah, my wife and I both joined at the same time, and we ran together with Judy Forrest. We had every Wednesday night for several years with Judy, and she was our EMT. I was the driver. Mary Jo was our first aid person, until we had our first child, and then Mary Jo got to retire. But we've been around since then.
A good excuse.
Yes.
Yeah, but generally, I gather the rescue squad people don't need excuses. They just they don't have enough time.
Time is the big issue right now with most of the squad members and the people within the city. Squad doesn't take a whole lot of time, but again, if we're going to go through EMT school, that type of thing, or some advanced EMT type of courses, again, we're looking at 2 nights a week for 6 months, and then you test out at the end of it, and we're only allowed to miss 3 classes, and that's very EMT basic as you move up the ladder. But the squads come a long way with our different levels of certifications. We've had some paramedics in the past, and now we have 3 paramedics on the squad. We've got 16 people total. And we've got 3 paramedics. 2 of them are national board certified paramedics, so they can be a paramedic any place in the United States, as well as in the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, you had in the early '90s, you had a number of people that were on the rescue squad. Didn't you? Was this about your peak period?
I'd say in the 89, 90, 91 area, I think is probably when we had the most people on the squad. We were upwards of 30 plus people on the squad, and we covered the city as primary ambulance service or primary emergency medical service 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Which was nice. We had the luxury of the people. Today, we're down to about 16 people, 15, 16 people, and we're covering everything that we possibly can, but with families and jobs and those types of things, it's very difficult to cover it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I know in addition to the watch standing, Jeannie, that the rescue squad does other things as far as educating the community is concerned. Could you tell me some of the things that...
Well, I think one of our greatest services to Tega Cay, besides carting people in and out and whatever and taking care of their emergency needs, is that over the years, starting back with Judy Forrest and then Paul Eckelman and myself, we've provided CPR classes. And they don't take long to take, but it is a life-saving procedure, especially if you have someone who's choking right beside you and you don't know what to do. It's a very helpless feeling, and we have trained many, many people, plus our people on the squad are recertified every year. And people outside the community have come in for CPR training here also.
Well, I know you've performed many rescue missions and saved many, many people, heart attacks and so forth, and because of confidentiality that you're sworn to, you can't reveal those right here. But I think you had one incident, I think, that was humorous that you might relay on.
Yes, I was a brand new EMT, and when you're brand new, you do get scared when there is a call, hoping that you're able to do what you're supposed to do. This was to the marina in Tega Cay. The driver and I responded in the daytime and found a middle-aged lady sitting at the end of the dock with a toe, big toe, about this big. And I think I just stared, and she said she had been fishing in her bare feet, and she caught a catfish, and the catfish had stung her. And she had an allergic reaction to the sting of the catfish, and I'm thinking, oh Lord, I wasn't trained for this. This wasn't in my book.
You all take on a lot of things, there's a mystery out there. You don't know what you're going to be faced with.
You don't know what you're going to find.
Yeah, and I can't help but admire the rescue squad people through the years. I've watched myself in Tega Cay. I've only been here 11 years, but I've watched, and I am really impressed. And I thank you for taking your time to reveal some of your insights into it.
You're very welcome.
Okay. The Tega Cay Volunteer Fire Department was chartered in 1973 with approximately 10 members. And there's two originals here today still. Dave Nelson was in it from day one. Stand up, Dave. Just forget what you look like. And Floyd Robinson back there was in it approximately a month after it started. Phil Kasher was chief, and Kirscher. I didn't know him, I'm sorry.
Yes.
He was chief, and we started off with a 1973 Atlas pumper, which was bought by the developer out here, and it was housed in the present-day golf maintenance building. We had one bay down there for fire and one bay for the later on for the rescue squad. So that's where we got our beginnings, down there. We were donated the original Tega Cay street washer. We made that street washer into a tanker. We had to park it outside, I remember, and put the hot tapes around it so that the pipes wouldn't freeze on it in the winter, but it was a real good vehicle for us. Matter of fact, it's still in service in a department in Lancaster today. So that one worked out pretty well. We, let's see, 1979, we went to an auction in Greensboro and bought Greensboro's engine number 1. You'll see pictures of it inside there. Presently, that truck is down at Leslie Fire Department, but it served us until 1984. About 1980 or so, we moved out of the golf maintenance building, and I've never found out why or anything, but we moved to a shed back here where the lighthouse is presently at Anchorage. And we had our vehicles in a shed for about a year and a half or so until this building was finished here. Moved into this building in 1981, March, and it was It didn't have anything on the inside. You see, we've come a long way. We did all the renovations, or actually construction, inside this building. We put in our own little meeting room, kitchen, bathrooms, and storage rooms, and an attic up above. This building in 1981 was built with the help of the Lions Club. They raised the money for it, and they also raised the money so we could buy that pumper from Greensboro and pay off the rest of the ambulance payment of the original, the second ambulance. Original ambulance was a station wagon type thing. The second ambulance out here was a van. Shortly after we moved in here, we purchased a 1951 American LaFrance 85-foot aerial ladder truck, and that served us very well until we sold it to buy our engine 1 over there in 1987. So that presently is on display over at the Firehouse Restaurant. It's not in such good shape anymore, but it was in great shape when it left here. Anyway, all that equipment helped us get our ISO 6 rating, which happened in 1983. We were in class 9 out here. If you folks aren't familiar with ISO, 10 is the worst and 1 is the best. There's only 29 or so fire departments in this country that are class 1. Class 2, of course, there's more. Class 6 is pretty good for a volunteer fire department, and we were hoping for at least a 7. We felt very fortunate to get a 6. That 6 rating reduced everybody's insurance policy premiums out here 30 to 35%. Over the last 10 years or so, we bought in 1984 we bought our first brand new pumper, Pierce Suburban. It is not here today because it is out for maintenance. It'll be back on Monday if you need to take a good look at it. 1987 we bought the only 4-wheel drive pumper in the county. It's over there. It's also a Pierce unit. We bought it new. And in 1988 we bought the 1977 Jeep pickup truck. You see a Jeep over there, and it was started off as a pickup truck in Pineville for first 60,000 miles, and we have since purchased that and made that into an excellent brush truck that serves us very well. And finally, engine 4 right inside the bay here. I'm sorry, that's not, I've got one more after that. Engine 4 here was purchased in '91, and we sold the original truck that the developer bought us. It was 20 years old and was outdated. So engine 4 here is a pumper tanker, and it rounds out the fleet. 1997, we decided that we needed a service truck. We had the old ambulance, and it was grossly overloaded. So we started searching around, and we purchased truck 5 over there, the one in the middle bay, and that's actually a 1967 Ford with 15,000 miles on it. We redid the truck head to toe. We're almost done with it, and it really will serve us well. So that's kind of the history. We've gone from 10 members up to 46 today, and we have this new building plan. We've had no deaths in our fire district. We're very proud of that, and we've had no major injuries of any firemen over the last 25 years since we started. We maintain an under 5-minute response time, and we're also very proud of that. It's kind of nice when you are here to break ground on a new building which you've needed for probably 5 years or more. If you can imagine 35 people coming to a meeting, I know Darrell Hood can, because he does a lot of training for us, and it's either too hot or too cold to be out here, and we're all in that room. It's tons of fun. Well, we're looking forward to this new building which will be built right here on this ground. Thank you.
This is Frank and Pat McCarthy, who were charter members of the Lions Club and the Lionesses Club way back in the 70s, and they have experienced the activities of the Lions Club from then on, and I'd like to get the story of those clubs from you too, if I might. Would you start by telling me when the Lions and Lionesses clubs started and what their functions were?
The Lions started in March, April of 1974. Manuel Holland and Bobby Cullen, Bill Whitman met with John Bryant from over in Fort Mill, and Fort Mill is actually our father sponsoring club. And as a service organization to serve the needs, Tega Cay was growing, and these fellows didn't want to play golf all the time, but they had been Lions in other communities before they came here, and they got together, and in April they had what they called Charter Night, and we had it was over 300 people up at the clubhouse that night. And a lot of them were visitors from other clubs, of course, but we had almost 36, I believe, that were chartered that night.
Now this is back in '74.
That was in '74. The Lioness got jealous, or the women, mostly the wives of the men, got jealous, and in '76 they had a group come up from down in Columbia, and they chartered, and we had some 28 girls that became Lioness.
Now the Lionesses function as an auxiliary to
We're an auxiliary. We're sponsored by the Lions Club. And their Lions have the motto, "We serve." The Lioness, the motto is, "We serve too." And in all projects we sort of help each other and are there for each other when things are to be done. The men started in, and they had I forget what your first program was. I know the Lioness
but
had
Frank, you were the third president of the Lions Club, weren't you?
Right, I was the third president.
Yeah, and so some of the. But were you there at the? You were there at the chartering of the.
Oh yeah, I was there at the charter night.
Yeah.
From that time on, and I've very seldom missed a meeting since that.
No, you have 100% attendance up until you've been sick. But,
so you know it from way back.
Yeah, and from way back. I'm sorry I wasn't a Lion before time, because they are, in my way of thinking, they are a real big light to a community and help serve in the community in considering all the people and the kids that are neglected and different ones that we can work with and benefit from our service. Really makes you feel good. We even have the privilege of being called and asked to go over to the airport sometimes and pick up eyes to take up to Piedmont to the hospital.
Oh.
For to be replaced the next day.
Transplant eyes?
Yep.
That's quite a trust. Now, recognizing that your primary function is eyes and hearing, those two, but you have a lot of other functions that you perform in the community, in the service line.
Anything in the community that we can do to help the community along, such we've done for MUSC. We've helped with the projects that they have to be a service. When we need an ambulance here, we help with that. We help solicit donations.
They were the fundraisers for the firehouse.
Oh, were you?
And George Wyman was super salesman. I don't think there'll ever be a salesman that can beat him. Most houses in Tega Cay have not one but two fire extinguishers.
Yeah. So,
And-
so you early on you performed a lot of service functions such as helping out the fire department. How about the rescue squad?
Rescue
Yeah.
Squad, the first project that the Lioness had was the bake sale. $162, and it went to put a CB radio in the first ambulance.
Oh,
And the next project, we bought a smoke ejector, and we had a special chair for the rescue squad.
mhm.
And there's been ongoing
Yeah.
projects, little things when needed.
Yeah. So people would express a need, and you filled it with the funds that you were able to get.
Right.
You supported a lot of these functions within Tega Cay, but how about outside of Tega Cay? Did you?
Hospice has funds from us. The Fort Mill Care Center is served continuously through the Lioness with school supplies
Mhm.
each year, or whatever the need comes out. Our Boy Scouts have help from us. They're sponsored by the Lions. The Fort Mill Band,
Mhm.
the Booster Club, the boys,
Yeah.
they have had help from that. American Red Cross, we've had the Bloodmobile in here in the beginning. They, voter registration.
So it was various functions. It didn't have to necessarily.
Anything that was of service to the community.
Yeah. I understand that you also supported some tornado victims.
And I can't remember where exactly. It was either Georgia or Alabama, but when the call came in, the Lioness had, Bobby Cullen has always let us have space down there, and we had one of his storage bins was full of bedding and clothes that was going to go for our rummage sale or attic sale. And within 2 hours after the tornado was announced, there was vans on the road taking the blankets and the clothing down to these people.
So you're supporting things not only in Tega Cay, but in the area around Tega Cay and in states that they're really in need.
Wherever there's a
rather
need.
far distant. It sounds to me like you have quite a lot of things that you have to support. And how about tell me something about what sort of fundraising activities you perform or support in order to get this?
Well, the Candy Day, of course, goes for the site and the vision, and that's done. And TK Club, all their money goes to the state.
That's when she says state, that's the multiple district of the 4 districts in
I
South
see.
Carolina.
Yeah.
And they're all, the South Carolina on Candy Day are out on the streets on Friday, Saturday, and
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. When they out there not selling it, but giving away candy, and in recipient of that, they
Donations.
they donate in our cup that we have in the other hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see. And this money goes for what?
It goes for
The iMobile.
the iMobile.
Mostly the basic things that the
That's run by the state.
Lions support. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also have.
But we have the fish fry that we've sold all along. In the beginning, we had the flight cruise, and that was $10 a ticket. $600 tickets only sold, so you only had 1 in 600 chances of losing.
So this was a lottery type thing.
It was a lottery, yeah.
For a flight ticket.
For a flight cruise.
Yeah, flight.
And Todd Branson started it and was instrumental in keeping it, and then Reginald Mesker came along and he really took it and pushed it. Bruce Updike can talk about being involved with it.
Yes.
And along about May, when we'd go down to the convention, why they'd say, here come the McCarthys, the Updikes, or what have you, and get your money out, because they're out to sell tickets to you. So
Which convention was this?
this is the state convention
State
for the
convention
Lions.
to the Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you talked about the fish fry. That's the one on the 4th
On the
of July.
4th of July.
And
And that is grown. Bob Rundy, if he does nothing else, he's the official fryer. So, he is, right?
You know, he looks like a chef too.
Well, I can't think of any time that one time he missed.
Yeah.
I think he went up to New York to get a supply of hot dogs and he wasn't here, but he's been there every year frying. And
so you have any number of fundraisers in order to...
Fundraisers, they had road races. Bob Constantine, well, of course, Bob Constantine has got the fish fry down to a business.
Yeah.
He tells us where to go, how to do it, and when.
Yeah.
And then he also was instrumental in the road races that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Or the, well, it was the road races. That's what they called, where they went the distance of Tega Cay Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that was a money maker too?
that was a fundraiser, yeah. And that was sponsored through the Charlotte Observer, worked with us.
Oh.
The Charlotte Marathon, and that Bob connected with that. The Lionists have the poinsettia sale, when you see them selling them at Christmas time and that, all that. And any money that is done in any of these projects goes back into the community, goes back into, none of it can be spent on anything administrative.
Mm-hmm. So any administrative costs are absorbed by the donation dues for the club. So it's that's quite a record, because you go to a place, even the United Way, which is very careful about it, only 93% of their money goes back into the community, but 100% of yours goes.
Lions, it goes back in. It has to.
Yeah. Now, in addition to these things of supporting the community and outside the community, and you do certain things that are sort of fun things. I think one of them I can think of is the egg hunt for the children.
Easter egg hunt for the children. It is.
Mm-hmm.
And
the senior citizens Christmas party, we get just about as much fun out of seeing and helping the senior citizens that come than it makes us have a joy in our own way. We have Santa Claus for them, and everything is done
on a volunteer
please.
basis.
And a lot of the people that are not Lions come in and help us with these things too, just to be able to help serve the other people.
But tell me a little bit about the senior citizens thing. It started out a long time ago, didn't it? And
Bob Rundy and Trish Koken started out by making handmade gifts to the senior citizens.
And they filled 86 that first year. It was 86 goodie bags, we call them, filled. And that's an apple, an orange, and pencils or whatever.
And they made a trinket of some kind, that maybe a pin that they could wear, or something they made by embroidering it, or so that it was really appreciated in that. And it has been a big hit. And we've grown from that 86 to around 500 each year.
Well,
we had to run it on Tuesday as well as on Monday to satisfy the senior citizens that we have coming because of the capacity of the clubhouse.
And of course, the clubhouse has always helped out on that too. We've always had their backing and support.
Yeah, you've gotten some backing too from the local places around, haven't you?
Yeah, one of the things, Lions are good beggars. They go out and they solicit gifts. And in the very beginning, a lot of the gifts were blankets or shirts or slippers or needy things on that. And as times changed and things, we still have the needs. There's still a lot of need in that. But
they give, some of the merchants will give a wallet, or they'll give an item that they have had as a piece of advertisement for their own use. They'll give that out. They've had it left over. The Fort Mill Telephone Company has been very good to us every year. They give us a pad for them, financial. They give us
Well, the one year they gave you the magnifying deal,
Yeah,
that went over
magnifying.
real good.
Yeah.
and it's terrific how they help support the senior citizens Christmas party.
You know, it seems like not only you're giving support to the senior citizens, but you're making the community more cohesive, in that you've even got the merchants in there participating. So.
Well, of course, then there's a cake baked, and that is definitely a community effort. We solicit through the churches and through the Vintage Club, the Beautification, and all the clubs here within, and there's certain people that just automatically seem to get on the bandwagon and bring the cakes in.
Yeah.
And
so it's good.
we've never run out.
Complete community effort.
It is a community effort now.
Well, you know, you look at the Lions Club and the Lionesses, and they've done a tremendous amount for this community. I know one of the things that they did was, in the early days, they supported the Young People's Activity Center up there, up at the ball field.
And you mean the, what do we call it?
Canteen. You manned the canteen, I understand.
And stocked it, and that takes a lot of doing in that.
Yeah.
And of course now that's being taken. Well, see, now the athletic club or the athletic organization, youth association, has been one of the recipients of funds from the Lions.
Yeah.
They've always been on it,
Yeah.
and we stock it down there, and they're still the first funds and first stocking is coming from the Lions.
Yeah. Well, you've done such a variety of things, and you're a tremendous asset to this community, and I know all over the country the Lions clubs are, but it sounds like...
It takes a lot of people.
Yeah.
And right now our numbers are small. Anyone that's interested, we'd love to welcome you as a member. How about you?
Sure.
And come on.
Yeah.
The fellowship that comes from doing, and it's
Yes.
just a service and time spent doing.
One of the things about doing the service and having the projects to do, it gives us a time to work together, and we get a kick out of it, working together, and everybody sharing in on it, and we know that it's going for some good of somebody.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you very much for your time and give me a picture of the Lions Club, and I know the people who look at this tape will appreciate it too.
I think you're doing a good job.
Well,
Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. The lady I'm about to introduce is Kitty Updike, a long time resident of Tega Cay, deeply involved in many activities here in Tega Cay, right from the beginning. But we're talking today about her activities on the Chamber of Commerce. She spearheaded the formation of the Chamber of Commerce and was its first president. So Kitty, would you tell me about how the Chamber of Commerce was organized, when it was organized, the numbers of people, things like that?
Well, I believe there were about 8 people that formed the first board and officers in August of 1990. And we thought that we could be a very complementary force to the city government, in that the county chambers have a very strong voice in a number of areas, both in the county and the state, and Tega Cay seemed to be left out of all of that. We also realized that we had 30 acres that would be commercial, and a number of business people already in Tega Cay, including the golf course and the marina, plus individual home businesses.
So it was a combination of sporting industries within Tega Cay and also outside.
Out the corridor and up at the corner, so they could get to know more about Tega Cay and Tega Cay more about their businesses.
Yeah.
So we started with the 8 members, and gradually through the year got, I think, a little over 50 members, which all have their names on a plaque hanging up in the office. We had an office in the administration building at the front of the city, and the furniture was donated to me by John Remington's wife. John had been the first chairman of the Planning Commission in Tega Cay.
Oh.
And when he died, his wife said that he had always thought a great deal of what I had done with the Planning Commission and with the city, and that he would like me to use the furniture in any way we could. So we had probably the nicest furnished Chamber of Commerce anywhere.
Good way to start.
It certainly was a good way to start.
It's sort of like in the military, they say to build a golf course first and then they go on from there.
And it was nice because we certainly had no money to buy any. We could hardly figure out just how we were going to manage, and all of a sudden,
Yeah, there.
it was there. So we had no money, but we knew through membership we would get money. We'd already made a resolution to contribute to the Carolinas Partnership, as all the chambers did, so
Right.
we knew we had to raise it somehow.
Yeah.
And we had monthly meetings at that time. And every meeting we had an outside speaker. Also sometimes one of our individual business people in Tega Cay saying what he or she did and how maybe it would coordinate with other people who had their own kind of business.
Would you have this meeting up at the clubhouse, or
Yes.
normally at the Tega Cay clubhouse?
So we always had a Tega Cay clubhouse because the chamber, of course, isn't large enough to hold the meetings.
Mhm.
And we would always serve cookies and
Yeah.
coffee or
Yeah.
whatever. And
Have some edibles there.
we would average anywhere from 35 to 70 people
Gee.
turnout.
That's a large number of people.
We were very
For-
pleased with those
Yeah.
meetings. We had people speak like Vicki Cook, who was head of Carowinds, and person, I can't think of his name, from Duke Power, and of course the president of the Council of Chambers as to what they
Mhm.
did, and
So it must have taken a lot of organizing, to get the meetings going. But tell me a little bit about what was accomplished at the meetings, will you?
Well, yes, it did take a lot of organization, and I would average around 33 meetings a month, because I went to all the different chambers to see what they did and how we could either coordinate with them or bring our ideas. And we had a 3-day seminar of all the chambers and came up with how to promote York County. It just seemed as though York County wasn't known down in Columbia or anything else. And we organized such things as the logo for our stationery and all our brochures, and decided to have the York County Day in Columbia, which is either in February or March. The only county in the state that does that. It's a whole day, and we set up the programs, and at lunch where the governor routinely speaks. In the evening have a barbecue, and all the legislators are invited. You can't just discriminate with your own. And it's been very successful. And then it gave us an opportunity to have membership in the council chambers and also on the Economic Development Board.
Now, the county chambers was an organization of the chambers.
It was an organization of all 6 chambers with their presidents and their executive secretaries, and usually the preceding president and maybe the upcoming one, so that we keep continuity. And we met on discussions as to having 4-year terms for the county council, having county-wide police force, doing county-wide promotion, meeting with the York County delegation, which was a help both ways, and that in turn could help us with helping the city
Yeah, right.
to find out what we needed to do in Columbia, because we were an organization that could do that, whereas a city wouldn't be allowed to. And the chamber has a lot of clout down there.
Yeah, so it was a means of getting the influence of Tega Cay through this, through the York Chamber and through the county chambers. Would you tell me something about the Economic Development Board?
It's the executive director is Mark Ferris, who, how we're so fortunate to keep, we don't know.
Yeah.
He is very good. And that had to be done by ordinance with the county council to create an opening on the board of the Economic Development Board to include a representative from Tega Cay. It's divided so that each city has representation. For instance, Fort Mill has, or Rock Hill has 4 members on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Fort Mill had a member plus an at-large member. And that at-large member was never anyone from Tega Cay,
Yeah.
so we were fortunate to establish that.
So the president of the Chamber of Commerce was became a member of the Economic Development Board.
Well, that was, I was elected by our board, but the nomination had to be put through the county council. The county council can put on anybody it wants to.
Oh.
It usually takes the recommendation from the chambers that they put in, although there have been a couple times they haven't. So if they wanted somebody else, that's the way it would have been, but it had to be done through the county.
Yeah.
And then serving on that, you serve on 2 committees. I happen to chair the Finance and Budget Committee for 3 years, and you do the budget, you work with it with the county and all, and then you have to start lobbying county council members for it, and they had planning group and industry appreciation day group, because the Economic Development Board does not ignore the businesses it already brings in or has here.
Yeah.
We do something for them every year, which is called Industry Appreciation Day. And that's either a game over at Knight Stadium with barbecue, or outing with dinner and what have you.
Well, it sounds like it's a busy job. Tell me a little bit about some of your accomplishments, and I know you were involved in the Gold Hill Road and some of the other things.
The Rock Hill City Council had invited all the road commissioners from Columbia, and it's the first time that they've ever all come to York County. So prior to that, the council chambers was setting up a priority list of roads that were needed. And quite a study had been done, and a number of months' work into it, and Gold Hill Road was not on there. So my second meeting with the council chambers, I asked why and gave quite a pitch for it, and it ended up on the list. And then when the commissioners came, we went through all of that, and so that really put Tega Cay Gold Hill Road on the priority list to be widened as it's going to be. And then came the Gold Hill Road Task Force and a lot of others, but
you got your words in early.
Rolling. We started it rolling.
Yeah, well, that's terrific. You got, I know there were a lot of other accomplishments, and I know from my own experience, you have a brochure that's over at the airport, and that's
we have that at the airport and the visitor center, and to all the chambers, what have you, which extols all the lovely features that Tega Cay has. Being a chamber has enabled us to promote Tega Cay out there. Every brochure, every piece of correspondence to the delegation, all of this lists the 6 chambers, and it's nice to see Tega Cay on there where it never used to be. So it's a dual process.
Well, Kitty, in addition to all the other many things that you've done in the city government and county government and so forth, you've done a tremendous job in Chamber of Commerce, and you've enhanced the image of Tega Cay, and you are commended for that from my point of view, from my lowly point of view. But anyway, a lot of other people commend you, and I think you've got a medal recently, didn't you?
Oh, that's something I'm very proud of. This is York County Economic Development Ambassador of the Year medal that was given to me by the governor of South Carolina.
This was last year?
This was this past year. I was nominated from York County.
Well.
And we have the picture over there with the governor presenting it and the certificate, and it was just lovely, and it was a very nice honor for me, and I so appreciated it.
You so deserve it. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. This is Ralph Hughes, the first greenskeeper at Tega Cay, and Ambrose McCall, who's been here ever since Tega Cay started, and they were both involved in construction around here of the golf course. And Ambrose was working on the Kontiki at the same time the golf course was being built. There was a little competition going on there. But Ralph is going to, will you tell me something about when you came here and what were the circumstances?
I got here on October 12, 1970, and the greens were kind of laid out, but wasn't complete. And we completed those and opened up 9 holes in 71, April of 71. And at that time, there was new families moving in and construction going on, new houses, and they wanted, you know, people to play golf without having to go to Fort Mill or something. And then we concentrated on that, and then in the fall, Labor Day, we opened the other 9 holes. But there was 36 holes laid out.
Yeah. Well, who laid the course out?
Architect by the name of W.B. Lewis, Pickens, South Carolina.
Now, he laid it out before you got here, and so you had a laid out course. Was anything else done before you got here?
Basically, he had laid it out, and the fairways were roughed in, and the greens were, the topsoil and everything had been on the greens. Had been put on the greens, and some of them had been seeded, but they had a lot of rain that year, and it washed a lot of that off, so we had to go back and redo most all of it.
I understand you didn't have any sand traps there, right?
There was no sand traps. We put those in 72.
Yeah. So you worked on, and say again, when you opened up the second 9, you opened up the first 9 in the spring of what?
In 1971, spring of 71.
71. And then how about the second 9? When did you open?
That was in the fall of 71.
Fall of 71.
Yes.
Yeah. Then did you go to the other 18 holes that they were laid out?
After we got the first 18 playable, then we went over to the other side and started working on those, building the greens first, because it was the fall, and the fall is the best time to plant the big grass for the greens, so we built the greens first. Then in the spring, we come back and was going to seed the fairways, but we never did get the irrigation in place to do all that, and then the crunch hit. They had a recession type thing.
Yeah, the crunch being that the
no money.
Bankruptcy was coming up, or they thought it was coming up.
Right, and so they said, forget that.
Yeah.
Just forget that 18 over there.
Yeah. What kind of grass did you have on the greens on the front 9 and the fairways?
Well, it's bent grass all the way.
All the way bent grass?
No, bent grass on the greens, and then we had common Bermuda at that time on the fairways. And then we had some rain problem where it had gullies washed in it, you know, and so we come back with some fairways and put hybrid 419.
Yeah. And how about the irrigation? You had a pump, I understand.
Well, when I first got here, they told me all I had to do was come and mow grass and buy equipment. And the day I walked in, they had a little 2000 Ford tractor with a little pump on the PTO trying to irrigate 36 holes of golf. And
so you had...
You could get more out of a garden hose up here on number 9, what's now number 9, than you could out of that pumping station they had set up.
So what'd you do about that?
Well, we went first down at the end of what is now the driving range where they've got new construction, but we had a pump set up in there, and we put another pump over on the other side. But this pump sealed it in, a lot of silt washed in, so we went under sand because we couldn't go out in the lake far enough. And but over on what is hole number 5, it dropped straight off to about 25 foot there, so we put that pumping station in, and
that one is the one
that's still running.
That's still running. That's the one that supplied all the water for all over.
Right.
Yeah.
All over the golf course.
Yeah. So the irrigation problem, how about drainage problems? You have many drainage problems in the course?
Oh, it has a tremendous amount of drainage problems, and we'd get it all plowed up and ready to seed, and then the rains would come. We'd have to go back and redo it again. That's why it took really so long to bring it in.
So finally, you got the thing in pretty good shape and you stayed on as greenskeeper until 1980, is it?
Yes, right here, 10 years.
10 years, yeah. And it was in good shape. You were happy with it when you left?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at the same time this was going on, Ambrose over here was helping to build the Kon-Tiki, and I guess there was a little competition going on. How about tell me what you were doing, Ambrose, with the Kon-Tiki?
Well, we built it, the hull of it. That's like a truss for a house upside down up there in the parking lot at the church, which is the church today now. And then we flipped it over and then put the other part on it, and it was like a big house or something sitting there, and then we had it, eventually put it on a trailer and took it to the river.
Yeah, you built it up by the church parking lot, and then you dragged it down to the Hidden Harbor Marina,
Yes, sir.
and put it in the water and went through the inspections. And when did you remember when it was that you had that thing going?
They started in the fall of 70, and I think he would put it in the water in spring of 71.
Yeah. Well, I have some pictures of it that I'm going to add on to this, and showing the Kon-Tiki being built in the various stages. And I've been told by Toby that you're the one that really built that Kon-Tiki. And
Well,
did you have any help?
I built from the start. Yeah, there was plenty of help. There was a construction company out of Georgia. Jim Carroll, the captain, which was later on the captain of the boat, he was there all the time too.
Yeah. So you finally got it going. It's a real tradition. I mean, when you talk to anybody in Tega Cay who was here in the early days, he said, "Oh, you should have seen the Kon-Tiki," and it's a lot of good stories. Well, do you have anything else you want to add, Ralph? I think you told a complete story of the building of the golf course, and I certainly appreciate it because I play on it all the time here, and it's.
Well, it's tight, and the reason it's so tight is they made a mistake to start with. They should have built the golf course first and laid out the lots.
Yeah.
But what they did, they laid out the lots and then said, "Here's the land, go build a golf course."
Yeah.
So that's the reason is every place I've ever been, which I helped build Grandfather Golf and Country Club, we built the course and then laid out the lots along the sideline.
Yeah, you were up at Grandfather Mountain before you came here.
Yeah, that's where I'm originally from, Grandfather Mountain, from Impel, North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for giving me the information on the background of the golf course and the Kon-Tiki. This is Laurel Whipke, a longtime resident of Tega Cay. He actually lives in Statesville now. but he has the story of how the men's breakfast held at the community church every morning at 7 o'clock on Friday of each week. Now it's held at 8 o'clock, but originally it was held at 7 o'clock. And he's going to tell the story about how the men's breakfast started. He wasn't actually there at the time, but he was there shortly after it started. Laurel, would you describe what you know about it?
Actually, I don't know who really started it, but the two driving forces in the early days were John May and a fellow named Gorman Garrett, who I think now lives in Myrtle Beach, but he left Tega Cay with it. They had some of their friends come every Friday morning for breakfast. One or two of them would cook, and the rest of them would eat.
About what time was this that it started? And
we tried 7 o'clock and 7:30. We tried 7 o'clock, hoping to get some of the younger men who were working to stop, but that didn't really catch on very well, and so we put it back to 7:30, and then we went to 7 again.
About what year, though? Was it in the 70s?
We came here to Tega Cay in 79. I'd say the breakfast probably started in mid 78, maybe early 78.
Good.
I don't really have that date.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about it, John May dragged me into it. We were very good friends. He was the first man I met in Tega Cay, and he invited me to the Friday morning breakfast. And so I went with him, and we would eat breakfast and then get up and go home. And after going a few times, I felt like we needed a little more body to the meeting, and I suggested having a speaker or having our minister who was attending give us a little inspirational talk, which he did a few times, but he didn't do it all the time. That is, he just didn't want to bother with it. So after I nagged and nagged and nagged for a long time, somebody said, well, Whipkey, you do it. So I did. I had some kind of a little inspirational talk each morning for about 5 years, I guess. But gradually, I was able to work other members into it. I first started by asking people to give their autobiography. Even the men who weren't very good at speaking, they could tell about their own beginnings, their work. Most of these men were retired, and they were always glad to talk about their field of expertise. So that seemed to create more interest, and our group grew until I think at the maximum we had probably about 60 members. I remember one time we had the husbands and wives, and we had 80-some people there. So it was a pretty good thing.
It put a pretty good-sized burden on the cooks, didn't it?
Well,
when we had 80, but
we went from 1 cook to 2 or 3 and 4 with helpers quite often. But all the men were so generous with their time, and especially in latter years, Phil Glennon learned how to do the eggs Benedict, and that was one of the most popular meals we had.
Yeah, we had a lot of good speakers along the way, and people. I understand since I've been participating since '88. There's been a lot of people who didn't know they had the talent of speaking, and they found out at the men's breakfast.
Right.
Yeah.
There were a few of those that I would try to get them to speak, and they no. Well, I'd have them do their autobiography, and then maybe I'd ask them later, how about expanding on part of that autobiography that you did? And then several of them became regular speakers after that. Didn't want to do it at all in the beginning, but it was very, very nice.
Well, my experience has been throughout. It's been inspirational to me. I'm a loyal goer, and I'm sure that many other people who've gotten a tremendous amount out of this morning's breakfast on Friday, and you and the people who started it should be congratulated for it. Now, Laurel, you were also involved in the start of another club at Tega Cay called the Vintage Club, which is open to residents of Tega Cay who are 50 years old or greater. I know that you and your wife Betty had the idea of starting it. Would you give me a little story about how the Vintage Club started and how it progressed through the years?
Actually, that was kind of interesting. Betty's mother, who lived in England all of her life, would come over here and visit us and talk about this over 60s club that they have in England. I guess it's pretty much universal over there. And she had the greatest stories about the little trips they'd take and the things they would do, and it was always fun things they did. And so Betty got thinking about that, and she said, you know, we have a number of people here in Tega Cay that I think would like an opportunity to get out of the house and be with people their own age, and would you do it?
Now, about what year was this? It was about
1985 was when the Vintage Club started. Our first meeting, official meeting, was in March, so a few weeks before that would have been when we actually started it. When she convinced me that she really intended that I do it, I was a victim in that case. But anyway, we put a little notice in the Tega Trade Winds at that time that Sam McDonald was handling. Anyone interested in forming a fun club, F-U-N. We wanted to have fun. We didn't want to go out and raise money. We didn't want to do any civic work or anything. This was for our age group to have fun. So we set a date, and 40 people showed up at the clubhouse. And they were all enthusiastic about forming this club. All of them knew other people that should be a member and should join. So with those 40, we selected our officers. I happened to agree to be president for the first year, and went on to the second year too. But we had all of our officers selected from that little group of 40, and from there, I think one of the first outside activities, we took a trip down to the Masters in April. So it was pretty quickly we took a little side trip.
Would you tell me a few of the names of the people that were involved at the beginning, just 3 or 4?
All right. Well, Denny and Janie Dodd were secretary and treasurer. Denny always liked to handle money. The Winds, Walt and Ann Wind, great bridge players. The Bardsleys, Victor and Helen Bardsley. The Dobbins, Marion and Bob Dobbins, were part of the initial core of an advisory committee that we set up.
Well, it sounds like the advisory committee, from my observation, accomplished what the objective was, because I've viewed it years later, and they're still having a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, it looks to me like the center of social activity for the seniors around Tega Cay is the Vintage Club.
I think it is, and has been for some time. Originally, our plan was to have one dinner meeting at the clubhouse each month, and one outside activity each month. Go take a little trip or whatever somebody dreamed up. Now they're doing 2 and 3 outside activities a month, and some of them are pretty big. There's been a cruise to Bermuda. There was a trip to Spain. There was a cruise in the Caribbean.
I guess, but in putting it in perspective, it's generally a handful of the people who actually go to the vintage meetings that participate each one of these events, and maybe up maybe up to 20 or something like
20 to 40. Well, the people do what they're interested in. If If a theater show comes up and they like that, they'll go to that one, but they won't take the trip to Branson, Missouri, and sit, and, you know, people do what they want to do. That's the idea. Everybody have fun. We don't want to drag anybody someplace they don't want to go.
You might call it the fun club. Laurel, I want to thank you for giving me this insight into both the Friday morning men's breakfast and into the Vintage Club. It's been a very important part of the life of Tega Cay today. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for asking me.
This is a picture of the lakeside home of Jimmy and Tammy Baker. They resided in this home from 1981 to 1987. The house caught fire on Friday morning, March the 9th, 1990. At this time, the house was owned by a restaurateur by the name of Rubino. I'll now show you the results of the fire. This is what the house looked like immediately after the fire. It was in rubbles. Completely unusable, obviously. Investigators looked through the rubble, searching for possible clues of arson, never proved in court. This is a picture of Mr. Rubino, the owner of the house.